Welcome to Mission Evolution Radio Show with Gwilda Wiyaka, bringing together today's leading experts to uncover ever-deepening spiritual truths and the latest scientific developments in support of the evolution of humankind. For more information on Mission Evolution Radio with Gwilda Wiyaka, visit www.missionevolution.org. And now, here's the host of Mission Evolution, Miss Gwilda Wiyaka.
This is Mission Evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Today we explore the ever-deepening connection between intuition, nature, and human evolution with our guest, Leanne the Barefoot Medium. Known for her grounded, heart-centered approach to intuitive work, Leanne weaves earth energy, emotional wisdom, and psychic insight into a unique healing modality that guides people through profound personal transformation. By literally and spiritually working barefoot, she reconnects individuals with their natural energetic foundation, helping them clear emotional blocks, sharpen intuitive clarity, and rediscover their authentic path. Join us as we journey into the intuitive realms, explore the evolution of consciousness, and discover how reconnecting with the earth can reconnect us with ourselves. Her website, thebarefootmedium.com.au. Leanne, thank you for joining us on Mission Evolution.
Thanks so much for having me, Gwilda.
It's wonderful the way this works. Reaching clear to down unders where you are in Australia, and we're up here in the States. So it's a marvel.
It is. Technology is a wonderful thing, isn't it? It allows
when it
us
works.
to connect. Yeah, when it works, allows us to connect in all sorts of beautiful new ways.
So, Leanne, when did you first discover your intuitive gifts, and what made you embrace the title Barefoot Medium?
Yeah. So I came into the world as what they call a natural medium. So I've had my gifts and abilities to connect to past over loved ones in the spirit world since I came into the world. And as an empath, I can feel living person's emotions as well, or physical ailments. So I've had that my entire life. I've obviously gone through my journey and walked my path and, kind of forgotten about some of those things and my connection to spirit or my connection to all of those gifts throughout my childhood, and learnt through school how to manage those and how to connect in and trust my intuition along the way. In terms of my Barefoot Medium title, I actually work barefoot because I believe that you connect to both spiritual world and the earth at the same time. We have to bring through the guidance and information that we're receiving in a really grounded and present way for those that are here.
How did your early life experiences shape your psychic development?
Yeah, well, it was quite challenging. I came into the world, obviously, with my gifts and sensitive and being able to hear, see, feel, and know that spirit was around me. My family don't have those gifts or those abilities, so I was in a family who didn't understand, and I would often wake up during the night and see and hear and feel spirit around me, and I would say, there's people in my room, and there wasn't, was what I kept getting told. But for me, there were. And so I would see dark shadows or sparkly lights. I liked the sparkly lights. Or I would hear people walking down the hallway and be able to know that was spirit people, or feel them coming up close into my energy field. So it was challenging. It was also part of my learning in how to recognize different energies when they connected in, and how to be able to manage that and not be fearful.
Seems like a lot of children, when they're born like you were, gifted, but into a family that is not, or is not in connection with it, they're told, oh, it's your imagination, this isn't real, and they'll tend to shut it down because of that. It sounds like you did not. How did you manage to maintain it?
Well, I think throughout school, I wasn't as conscious as I am now of how my gifts work, and certainly through primary school, I had some issues with some bullying and being really sensitive and compassionate and kind-hearted. I was, sensitive to those things and forgot that I was connected, and had spiritual help and assistance along the way. So part of those experiences also shaped who I am as a person. And part of what we do is we come into our physical bodies as souls. We also have to live a physical life. And that's part of our learning and part of our journey is learning to connect and combine those two. So it hasn't always been easy, and there's been times when I forget that's what I can do, not as much now. And so, yeah, there's been some challenges along the way.
Was there a defining moment when you realized your abilities were meant to serve others?
Yeah. Uh, Interestingly, it was the first loved one of mine that had passed over that I consciously recognized and connected to. And that was one of my really good friends who passed tragically in a car accident. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember the lead up to that, I didn't realize until afterwards that we'd actually had a moment the last time I saw him where he said goodbye. And I'm grateful to have had that moment. And I looked back on it going, oh, that was odd. Now I know that that was our souls recognizing that it was the last moment in our physical worlds that we would see each other. And then I think about a week after he passed, I remember him coming through to me in the middle of the night, and it was like we were on a phone call, and it was as clear as you and I are talking today. And so he was the catalyst, I guess, for me to really step back into and consciously start working with my gifts.
So when you connect, when someone on the other side connects with you, I know everybody's a little different. Do you hear it? Do you see it? Do you feel it? How does it come through for you?
So I have access to all of those. My strongest ability, and most people have one or more that are stronger than the others. My strongest is my clairsentience, so my ability to feel and know. So as an empath as well, I can pick up on those emotions or physical sensations. So often the spirit world will connect in through my feelings or my physical body. So I'll feel energy or ailments or injuries on my physical body and know that that's the loved one that's passed that's connecting in, and just know what they are. And I've learnt that throughout the years about which areas of the body mean what.
So you are an empath, fairly
Yeah,
kinesthetic, I would guess. Um,
correct.
how do you also pick up other people's feelings and what's going on
Yeah,
with them that are living?
yeah.
How have you been able to separate what's in the soup and what's you?
I love how you explain that. What's in the soup? It's been a journey, and I think often it would be easier to just see spirit and hear spirit because you see them and you know what's going on. The reality is learning to work with what is my own energy as a human, because I have my own emotions and own things going on in the world, and separating that from living people. And then the spirit world has been a process and requires lots of presence and conscious awareness and grounding, which is why I work barefoot mostly, because it helps me to really stay present and aware and to let the spirit world know that I'm ready to connect in, and that helps to have a process in place. So my boundaries are pretty firm with those in spirit, because I don't want to be walking around my everyday world and having loved ones drop in and me not recognize that that's their emotions and not mine.
So what I'm understanding is you have your own landscape of
Yeah.
feelings. Then there's the landscape of feelings that comes from the living, and there's the
Yeah.
landscape of feelings that comes from the dead. Do you have trouble
Yeah.
discerning between the living and the dead?
No. Because I've become very conscious and aware of how that energy comes through for me. So, for example, if I'm connecting with a living person's emotions or energies, that will come through in front of me in the forward position, whereas those in the spirit world come in through behind me. So they'll come in behind, so I'll know that it's a deceased loved one, for example. So part of my boundaries and rules and processes is I've sat with my spirit team who help me manage how I work. So we have to have structures and processes in place that allow us to just flow with that intuitive guidance and information that comes through. So that's how it works for me, because I'm very logical brain as well as very intuitive. So I have to have both of those things work together with processes and structures.
You emphasize working barefoot. What's
Yeah.
the spiritual and energetic significance of physical grounding for intuitive clarity?
So the significance is, we have to be connected and here and present in the earth to be able to pass that information on and to receive it. So, the significance is I know who I am. I know where I am. I know that I'm in the present moment. I'm not focused on yesterday or what happened 10 years ago or 20 years ago. I'm in the now. I'm not focused on tomorrow or 5 years' time or how I'm going to pay the bills or what's going on with family or friends or anything like that. I'm present, I'm here, I'm in the moment, and I'm opening myself up to those in spirit so I know what's coming in is from them rather than from me. So the significance is getting present, grounded, conscious of your thoughts, conscious of your emotions, conscious of your actions and behaviors, because sometimes spirit can bring through mannerisms as well. And so the way we move and the way we say things or how we feel can be part of that message. So we have to be really present and in the moment.
Do you believe humanity's disconnection from nature contributes to intuitive blockages?
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you're not here, if you're not on the world and on the earth, how can you pick up that information that comes through? And, one of the other beautiful things that I've had the honor to learn is about the Indigenous people in South America, mostly work barefoot. And so, what they do is they feel the earth and the vibration of the earth and the messages that come through from the earth. And if we really connect in with our feet and the earth and what's underneath us, we can actually feel when things are going to shift and change for ourselves. I'll often get itchy feet when I need to move home or when there's time for a change. And so we can feel how our manifestations are coming through by
Well, we're about to
connecting
have
with
to
the
take
earth.
we're about to have to change because we need to take a station break.
Sure.
Leanne and I will return very shortly. Don't you go away. This is Mission Evolution, www.missionevolution.org. Are you intuitive? Can you trust it? With us this hour discussing the ins and outs of communicating with the esoteric is Leanne the Barefoot Medium. Leanne, can you walk us through how you receive intuitive information? Is it visual, emotional, auditory, combination?
Yeah, it's a combination of all of those things. It depends on whether I'm doing a psychic reading, for example, with a living person. It might be that the easiest way for them to communicate that information to me is through vision. So I might see some symbols and images in that way, or I might hear the information come through. Or if it's a passed over loved one, I might feel how they passed over or any of those physical ailments that come through, or just know that I have someone with me. So it can be very different depending on, for example, our passed over loved ones' favoured version of communication. We have some people who are very chatty and love to talk and communicate verbally, whereas others might be a little bit more timid and shy and communicate in different ways. So we bring our personality through with us as part of that evidence and information. So it can be very different depending on who I'm talking to, and I just need to be open to how it comes in.
It's not so much then how you work as whether they're visual, audio, kinesthetic, and that's the way the information comes for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for example, I was doing an event, and I don't often hear names in particular, and so I have to be really clear that it's a name coming through for me. If I will give that to the person that I'm delivering the message to. And I was doing an event with a large group of people, and I kept hearing a particular name. I'm pretty sure it was Barbara, 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 Barbara. And I just had to keep repeating it because it wouldn't go away. And she put her hand up, and I said, "Oh, okay, I've got your dad here." So that was the only piece of information I had to know who I was going to. Others, I might get, an image of what they look like and their physical appearance, how they dress or how they present themselves, or an image of, or a movie even of what happened or what unfolded prior to their passing, and, see them in a hospital bed, or just feeling those physical ailments. For example, if they passed from a stroke, I might feel it down the left side of my body, or a heart attack, I might get the chest pains, or difficulty breathing with lungs. So it's all very, very different.
Were you so empathic? Do you have to be mindful not to take on those things? I mean, you pick them up. How do you let them go?
Yeah, and that's the other part of the challenge with learning how to manage and work with energy, whether it's a human person or a passed over loved one. And so it's about learning spiritual boundaries and grounding, and learning those fundamentals and basics of how to manage energy with cleansing and clearing yourself after each connection that you have. So it's about going, okay, thank you so much for coming. I'll give you their love and send them with you, and then you cut that energy and come back to yourself and let it go. And one of the things when you first start developing, when you give readings, you're often looking for that external validation. Did I get it right? Am I correct? And that keeps us connected to the energy rather than letting it go. And so it's really important, trust-wise, to give what you receive and let it go. And if you let go of needing that validation, you often get that come in anyway. So it's a process of learning to cleanse and put boundaries in place around what do you do process-wise to finish a reading or a connection, and then how do you come back to yourself?
Do you, I'm still a little unclear on how you do it. Do you, in your imagination, disconnect? Do you use your intention to disconnect? What's it look like?
Intention is very powerful. So often, for example, people might connect in by clearing their chakras and then opening them and inviting spirit to step in. And that can involve a very long process. For me, it's just, okay, I'm ready to go. Oh, we dropped out a little bit there. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And so it's just about opening up and asking them to step forward for me. And they do. And then it's just a matter of saying thank you and intending for that disconnection to happen. So it's connecting and disconnecting. And really that's what boundaries are about.
Do you find that the more you've worked with this, the easier and quicker it is to do those things?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
How do you differentiate between intuition and imagination?
Great question. Our logical brain can often get in the way of hearing and feeling and knowing that we have intuitive information come in. It feels different, it's quick and it's repetitive and it feels positive and moves us forward, our intuition. Whereas that logical brain or that imagination or that wishful thinking is often slower and often harder to understand or get. So we can often question intuitive information that comes in as well, rather than trusting it when we go into that overthinking or overanalyzing space. So it's about getting your head and your heart to work together.
Now there's something that we need to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's emotional intelligence and what role does it play in psychic accuracy?
Oh, that's a really good one. So emotional intelligence, is all about self-management, firstly, which is managing yourself and your emotions and being present to them, and also being present and aware of what other people are bringing to your connection or conversation. And we relate and we connect with people in our everyday world. We bring us to every relationship we have, and others bring themselves to every relationship we have. So being emotionally intelligent is aware of what you're bringing and what others are bringing to that connection, and whether it's healthy or unhealthy. And it's also about, the other part is empathy. And I think, globally we need a lot more of that, particularly at the moment with so much chaos and turmoil taking place. So empathy and compassion are really part of that emotional intelligence.
How do spirit guides figure into this? You mentioned them earlier. So how do they figure into your work?
Well, I believe, and this is what the spirit world's taught me, that we have a team of guides who are with us from birth through to when we pass and go back to the spirit world. And that team involves our main guide, who brings through those intuitive messages for us to help us in our everyday lives. They also help us connect in with the spirit world and receive those messages from passed over loved ones. We have a teacher guide that helps us learn our own lessons and move through some of those challenging experiences, or helps us develop skills and abilities. We have our healing guide, who helps with things like food and nutrition and exercise, as well as energetic clearing of emotions or thought patterns. And we also have our joy guide as well, who is there to help us lift our energetic vibration and remember to have fun and play. We're here for that reason. And I think sometimes we get far too serious. So, and our protector guide, so that keeps us safe. And they all protect, but there's a protector guide that helps us maintain our spiritual boundaries and our personal boundaries, as well as, protects us and keeps us safe. And we have, the B team, if you think of A team and B team, which is the support team, like the archangels, the angels, our passed over loved ones, who are there to help and guide as well.
In your view, how is the collective consciousness shifting at this time, or is it?
Well, I believe we're always shifting and changing and present to, if we're spiritual beings that are here to grow and learn, and our rate of growth and learning depends on where we are as a soul. And collectively, the more work we do on ourselves, the more benefit it has for the collective, the more compassion and empathy and love that we can have for each other, the more benefit it has for the collective. and, compassion and empathy I talked about. We often, I think there's a lot of quick to judgment sometimes about, seeing the bad in people or the wrong in people or what's not working or the problems. And if we can come at it from, a spiritual perspective, every problem has a spiritual solution. And, if we can connect to our intuition, our higher self, no problems exist without a solution. So it's about aligning ourselves with that solution, right?
Absolutely. Makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
What intuitive trends are you noticing in your clients that affect this evolutionary movement?
What I've noticed is that a lot more people are, I guess the word's unhappy with where they are and are looking and consciously looking to change or invite more presence and awareness into their world. So, I have lots of clients who are working through, how do I be more present in my life? How do I create stronger and more healthy connections with those in my world, whether it's family, friends, children, clients, colleagues? How do I bring a better version of me to the world? And I think that's what I'm noticing more, is that people want to bring a better version of themselves to the table and to their connections, which is beautiful.
Do you believe that psychic sensitivity is increasing across the population?
I do, because I feel like more people are open to it. So we all have intuitive abilities. We all are open to intuitive guidance, which means we're all also psychic, right? And so psychics have the ability to intuitively receive that information from living people. Mediums have the ability to connect to the deceased loved ones in the spirit world. Whereas, the more intuitively open and spiritually aware we become, the more we develop that ability and can really connect in with our guidance and our insights, however we believe that to be. Yeah, whether we believe in God, Muhammad, Jesus, Buddha, any of those things, or the spirit world. It's all the same energetic place, and it all comes from love.
Well, it's time for us to take another station break. Leanne and I will be right back to continue our discussion, so you stay right there. This is Mission Evolution, www.missionevolution.org. Do our patterns control us? This is Mission Evolution, missionevolution.org. With us discussing self-awareness is Leanne the Barefoot Medium. Her website, thebarefootmedium.com.au. Leanne, what role does self-awareness play? We were talking a little bit about this. I'd like to go into it deeper if you don't mind. What role does self-awareness play in transforming limiting patterns?
Well, we can't transform something if we're not aware of what's playing out, is the first thing that I would say. So that first step in change and transformation is acknowledging what we become aware of. And so patterns-wise, it's like connecting energetic dots for me, for example, to see whether people are playing out a control pattern or an impatience pattern or overthinking, overanalyzing, and looking at how that presents in the world. What are the behaviors that you engage in if you're stepping into that control or impatience or overthinking and analyzing? What happens in your body? What are the emotions that come up? What are the thoughts that come up? Then what actions and steps do you take in the world? So the first step is becoming aware of that. So self-awareness is absolutely key to transformation and change.
If we're coming from pattern, we can't access what's actually going on at the time. Doesn't it throw us into the past?
It can. And if we're grounded and present and aware in the moment, we can notice where our energy has been pulled. There's often, if we're in that past, and I talk about kind of, where is your energy? You can be pulled to the past or pulled to the future, or you can be in your center in the present moment. And when we are in that past and that pattern, there's often a situation, an event, or an experience that triggers or pushes our button that moves our awareness into that past, into that, state of trauma, for example, for some people, that takes us back to that initial experience that created it. So it's like an energetic loop that we play out. And if we can try and short circuit that loop somewhere and find what that original experience or event or situation was, we can really then slow down what I call that wobble into the past and come back to more presence and more awareness, and notice when we're in that past experience. And then we can just look at it from a different perspective and see what's happening. And then next time we slow that loop down and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller until we clear it and heal it. So sometimes we do have to keep playing it out.
When we're triggered, do we take the events of the past, superimpose them on the present, and make a rerun out of the future?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so what we do is we then project that experience into tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. And so what we do is we create that tomorrow from our present moment with those perspectives or experiences or pains or hurts or traumas from our past. And so if we are repeating patterns or we have the same experiences going over and over again, then it's time to pause and get aware of what's really going on and what that experience might be, whether it's, attracting in toxic, unhealthy relationships, and that was one of mine in the past, or whether it's overthinking and analyzing or looking for that external validation. We often experience repeated patterns. So notice them, get present to them.
When clients receive messages they aren't ready to hear, how do you help them integrate those insights?
Sometimes you can't, and you have to just plant the seed. So that would be the first thing I would say. People have to be open to receiving the insights that are coming through. We as psychics or mediums or intuitives can't change the information that's there, and we have to trust that at some point that information may land and they'll have that light bulb moment to say, oh, okay, this is what that meant. So we can help people to get in their body, get grounded, get present, get open to receiving information, and letting go of those patterns that close them in, or close them down to receiving that guidance. And so it's really about going, how do I open my energy field to receive, even if it's starting with a cup of coffee or a compliment or something like that, to then allow the bigger things to start coming in. So, that's depending on the client, how I would start with opening people, and just keep planting seeds to, let them follow the trail and the path along their journey. It's their journey at the end of the day. And they can struggle with it and fight it and resist it, or they can choose to step in and do things a little bit more easily. It's up to people how they journey.
It sounds like it takes a fair amount of trust in what you're receiving and then letting go of the results.
Yeah, absolutely. And my job is not to judge or, force information into people. My job is to bring it through as I'm hearing it, seeing it, feeling it, and receiving it, and trusting that that person will receive exactly what they need in this moment. Whether it's what they want to hear, it will be what they need to hear.
What daily practices do you recommend for strengthening our intuition?
The daily practices I would recommend is firstly that grounding and getting present. And however you do that, it might be as simple as when you get out of bed of a morning, placing your 2 feet on the ground and using affirmations like I'm grounded, I am present, I am here, I am in the moment. Start there. Then, maybe a cleansing process where you get really clear of what's the thoughts that are starting for you through the day. Are you playing over a record or a story that's creating that tomorrow that says, I'm limited, I can't do this, I don't have, or I'm lacking somewhere? Or are you in a space where I am trusting, I am believing, everything's possible, everything's always working out for me? Cleansing and really short-circuiting those stories that we start with, because they become our emotions and our feelings if we don't clear them. So I would start there and then look at, what energy do I want to bring in for the day? What am I focusing on? Is it joy? Is it peace? Is it happiness? Is it abundance? Is it gratitude or appreciation? And putting boundaries in place to go, what am I okay with? What am I comfortable with? And what am I not? How am I connecting and how am I disconnecting? Here's how I will connect. Here's how I will disconnect. And that's really important in healthy and unhealthy relationships, right?
Okay, for sure.
Yeah.
How important is grounding in maintaining psychic and emotional resilience?
Absolutely key. Absolutely key. And every single person goes through challenging experiences, some more so than others. And in those moments in particular, it's important to keep ourselves in the moment and present and aware of what's going on around us. Some people need to be more aware of that than others. And, keeping ourselves safe physically, mentally, emotionally in that space. And we can't do that if we're not grounded and present. So resilience comes from being able to walk through challenging experiences and to deal with them. And some of us have been given a lot more than others. And the reason we're often given that is because it's our experience to walk through and learn about, so that we can step through the other side of that and bring through the knowledge and the wisdom that comes through. And we can't get that knowledge and wisdom without being grounded and present.
Grounded and present sounds like a huge challenge. I mean, I've experienced it's a huge challenge myself. It seems like most of us are pretty disassociative.
Yep.
How can you come from that place to even recognize where grounded and present is?
Yeah. Start with the breath. Yeah. And so we're often, I talked about the head and the heart before, and that's where that disconnect happens. We can often be so in our head and analyzing and projecting or disassociating or whatever that might be. We're not in our bodies. And so start with your breath and really acknowledging, how are you breathing? Are you taking really short, shallow breaths, or are you breathing fully into your body? And that breath in particular will start getting you back into your body, back into your heart, back into noticing your intuition and your guidance that's there. And if you're really, in your head or over analyzing or out of that body and not present, and you're in the past or too far in the future, one really simple technique is to start naming things that you can see around you in your physical world. I see a tree, I see a door, I see a fan, I see, a globe in the background, I see your beautiful blue jacket. Yeah. What that does is it brings our energy back into the now, into the moment, rather than in the past or the future.
Great advice. How does authenticity influence a person's intuitive development?
Significantly, if we're trying to put on a mask of who we are or be different to who we are naturally and authentically, it can impact the words that we share. It can impact the energy that we bring to a connection. Now, empaths and intuitives and psychics can feel when someone's putting a mask on and not being authentic. So, we all, even those who may not be aware of their intuition, will have met someone and instantly had a dislike, or their energy recoils and goes, oh, doesn't quite fit for me, or there's something not right here. That's often our intuition letting us know that someone's putting on a false mask. And we can all do that at times. So, be authentic, be you. Acknowledge your emotions. I often say to people, it's okay to be sad sometimes or feel sad. Just acknowledge it and be authentic. I feel sad today, and that's okay. I feel angry today, and that's okay. I feel happy today, and that's okay.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
So it's time for us to take yet another station break. Please stay with us as Leanne and I continue to explore the nature of consciousness. This is Mission Evolution, www.missionevolution.org. Does consciousness continue after death? This is Mission Evolution, missionevolution.org. We're continuing our discussion with Leanne, the Barefoot Medium. Leanne, how has your work changed your understanding of life, death, and the continuity of consciousness?
Look, I have, as a natural medium who's meant to be working with bringing through messages for people to connect with their passed over loved ones, I've experienced grief, loss, and trauma from a young age, and have many loved ones who've passed over. So my journey with walking through that has helped me to learn how to hold space for other people's grief and loss and trauma. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for those learnings. I'm grateful that on the other side of grief is love, and grief is just love that we don't know where to put. So my journey has helped me to know that we are never disconnected from our loved ones. We're always connected. They're always there. We're always connected to the spiritual, the intuitive world, whatever it is that you refer to that as and name that. Depending on your belief systems, we are always connected. It's just our human self that feels like we're disconnected sometimes. And that logical brain, that human self, that fearful self that says, hey, there's all these problems going on. Whereas our intuitive soul self knows the answers, knows the solutions, knows how to walk us through our experiences, and knows how to build that resilience and get that knowledge and wisdom that we need. And life's taught me that.
How can intuition improve relationships, communication, and decision making? Speaking of which.
Intuition can improve relationships. I mentioned earlier, patterns in attracting unhealthy, toxic relationships, for example. That was one of mine. And it was, my intuition was screaming at me saying, hey, there's something wrong here. And I wasn't listening. And that's okay. It was part of my learning to really listen to my intuition, guiding my human self. My human self wanted a relationship so badly that I stayed somewhere that I wasn't meant to be and that wasn't healthy for me. And so our intuition tells us when something is off and something doesn't feel right. Trust it. Have a conversation and communicate, with your partner, if you're in a relationship, about what you're feeling and what's coming up for you, and really open those channels. And sometimes it can be difficult to do that because we get to hear what we're not doing well either, and we have to be willing in a healthy relationship to learn and grow together, and to hear how our patterns and our behaviors might be impacting others as well. So, intuition is huge in relationships. It is huge in letting us learn about what we need in relationships and what allows us to feel loved, seen, and heard, so that we can attract in the right partner.
Is it difficult sometimes to tell intuition from triggers?
Yes. So, again, I keep coming back to that grounding and being present and aware, and that events and circumstances and situations in our world can trigger us back to that past experience. And our intuition is always received in the moment and in the now. So, it keeps coming back to that. And how we know if it's our intuition is it feels light and right for us, and it repeats. It's the same message repetitively. Like I said, unhealthy, toxic relationships, my intuition was repeating the message over and over and over again, and I just kept stepping in the loop. And it was 9 years of going back and forwards and around that pattern before I went, hang on, I've got to do something different here. So a different choice or decision needed to be made to step out of it. And sometimes it is that. It's just, hey, pause, stop here, and let's just ask a different question. What is it that needs changing here? What is it that I'm not hearing? What is it that I need to hear? What is it that I need to see? And it might just be a question of show me the truth, tell me the truth, and being open to hearing that.
Stepping out of knowing and into questioning.
Yeah, curiosity.
Isn't that an amazing thing? We have it as children. I don't know why we set it aside.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the thing, right? Most kids come into the world being able to connect with the spirit world in particular and have that intuitive knowing, and it's often squashed in our physical world. Oh, no, you're just imagining things, or no, that's not true. Well, it can be true for some of us, and it can be part of our knowing. And I think that's really important that we nurture that in kids. And, let them be curious. And as adults, bring back that sense of curiosity and childlike wonder, because that's how we open ourselves to receiving those answers that come through.
Do you believe intuitive awareness can help people better navigate the global uncertainty we're dealing with right now?
Absolutely. Intuitively, like I said, intuition comes in from a place of love and is light. And it is all about spreading that love, compassion, empathy, and light throughout the globe. And it's often that human logical brain side of us that analyzes, judges right and wrong, which separates us from our truth. And the truth is that we're all connected, we're all one, we all come from the same place. Whatever beliefs we have, whatever experience we've had, we all come from love. It's our human experiences that may have changed that for some of us. And some people may be in fear or, breaching our global values in sometimes horrific ways. And it's all about knowing that some people are walking the earth in their woundedness, and how we see that is by how we help and share our energy and our light is to give that love and compassion so they move through their own healing and their own woundedness and come back to the truth of who they are.
When you're talking about grounding and being present on the planet by going barefoot, is that where we connect with everything else? Is that where we connect with the unified field?
Yeah, absolutely. We can't connect upwards without connecting to the earth because, if we connect upwards to our spirit world or, the consciousness, whatever we want to call that, then we take our energy above our body, and that's where we can disconnect or disassociate from being here. And in order to get those messages or insights, we have to be present on the earth. And our feet being on the earth is part of that groundedness. And Mother Earth, Gia, helps us to be able to heal and process those emotions and that woundedness that's happening for ourselves and for others. She supports us, she holds us, she nurtures us, and she brings through those manifestations that we want and we desire in life. We can't have those things that we want if our feet aren't on the ground, if we're not here.
How can our audience begin to start trusting their own intuitive instincts?
Yeah. So I keep coming back to that groundedness and presence, right? So they can start trusting their intuition and their guidance by putting a process in place to each day ground in to their body. Just breathe, come back to yourself, connect back with you. And one beautiful process I say to people is learn to connect with how you're feeling and where you are and what's going on for you. And it might just be a simple practice of, how do I feel today? And it might be, I feel happy and joyful, and that's okay. And so using that process of, I feel fearful and that's okay. I feel happy and that's okay. I feel sad and that's okay. I feel like I'm struggling today and that's okay. And that's okay allows you to surrender it and trust that there's a process, and it opens you to receiving guidance and insight throughout your day.
What's been the most profound or unexpected message that you've received in your work?
Oh, goodness. Most profound on a personal level is probably connecting with my own passed over loved ones and knowing that they're around me and knowing that their love hasn't gone anywhere. It's still there. It walks with me every day and they walk beside me every day. In terms of clients, there's probably not one that I can think of that's the most profound. Each one is an honor and a blessing, and each one I am grateful to be able to connect them back to the love that they have and that relationship and connection they have with their loved one. My husband's experienced the loss of his younger brother tragically, and a couple of years ago, and seeing someone's world shatter and fall apart as a result. It's a blessing to hold space for people's grief and loss and to reconnect with them, with their loved ones. So every connection is important.
Well, the presence of you're being present here, and your beautiful work is so profound and appreciated. Unfortunately, and we're out of time. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure.
It's been a real blessing. We've been speaking with Leanne the Barefoot Medium, whose grounded, intuitive approach offers a powerful reminder that evolution is not an abstract concept. It begins within each of us. Through her work, Leanne encourages us to reclaim our natural sensitivity, strengthen our connection with the earth, and engage life with authenticity and purpose. To learn more about Leanne's services, classes, and upcoming events, visit her online at thebarefootmedium.com.au to continue your own journey of reawakening. For more information about Mission Evolution or to enjoy our past archived episodes, please visit www.missionevolution.org This has been Mission Evolution with Gwilda Wiyaka, guiding you through the ever-shifting landscape of human consciousness. Until next time, may you walk your path with awareness, empowerment, and a deep connection to the world beneath your feet.